Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Kyle Crawford, and as always, I'm here with Merle Hutchinson.
What's up? It is good to be around and out here today with you guys. You're looking a little tired.
No, I'm good.
Oh, wait.
I got to work tomorrow.
You got to work tomorrow.
Yep.
You were in a cave or something.
I was. So we just got back from Mammoth Cave. I took my family, and actually my mom and dad got to go with us, so that was pretty neat.
That's cool.
My parents are like big time into hiking.
Yeah.
So I had to prep them, let them know that my 6 and 4-year-old are not going to be hiking for miles and miles and miles. So, but yeah, it was cool. We got to go into the cave and got a little tour and got to see pitch black, what it really looks like. And
that's good. And the girls did okay with it?
They did good. A couple of times they're a little scared, but it's all right. It's good.
Well, I'm sure you did a good job of comforting them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as you were probably like pinching them and stuff. And, Daddy, stop it, Dad.
I did a couple of, look over there, there's a bat over there.
Good stuff. Mammoth Cave's a lot of fun. We've been there a few times ourselves. So
heck yeah.
Well, hey, we've got a show today, Strong Dads, that if you've been following us along, you know that we have been kind of laying a base of what a strong dad is. And so we want to welcome our listeners out there to the Strong Dad podcast. And, we're hoping that you are liking what you're hearing. We're just two regular guys that screw up on a regular basis.
All the time.
Yeah, you a little bit more than me.
I do. You keep pointing that out. I know.
It's because I'm so insecure. I got to be better than someone.
That's
right?
for sure. Well, yeah.
But anyway, part of what we are working to do, our function, is the realization that our families across this country are struggling. And we have said it time and time again off of other shows that we've done. This is not a government problem. This is not a problem that if I make more money, it'll be better. This is a dad problem that is primarily goes back to dads losing their way, not recognizing the responsibility and the job of a dad.
Yep.
And now the ripple effect that you see throughout our family, broken homes, wayward kids, and then we come up with the after effects of when we have kids that don't have that strong dad, the choices that they make.
Yeah.
And we've talked about the generational problem.
Yeah, the impact.
And so, we talk about all the time, and your work as a firefighter and paramedic, and my work as a counselor in the schools, that, we're in multi-generation of no dad to lead.
Yep.
And so that's what we are about. We want to have fun. We hope that you guys listen and see the humor in some of the things that we talk about. But if you like what you hear, please reach out to us. You can reach me at hutch@rocksolidfamilies.org. You can also go to our website, which is rocksolidfamilies.org, and you can see what we offer there. That's Rock Solid Families is a ministry that my wife and I, Linda, run, and we're all about just trying to create strong families and marriages. And so if there's something we can do to help people in the community and their relationships and their families, that's what we want to do.
For sure.
So, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, so today we're really excited. We're going to continue on with kind of as dads building that constitution of what it looks like to be a strong dad, a strong man. And today we're going to continue that. So we're going to talk about providing for our families. And just kind of what that looks like. There's some obvious ones that go into that and maybe some not so obvious ones. And we're just kind of dive into it and kind of figure it out together. Just making sure that we're doing all this together. We're talking with each other and dive into providing for our family. So
yeah. Well, when I think about providing, I think the first thing that comes to mind is physical needs, right? I mean, just the money to pay for the house or the apartment and the clothes. And honestly, that's important. And we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Right. That's that obvious one.
Yeah.
The financial.
Yeah, but we're going to knock on some things that I think sometimes this is what makes dads not realize how much they're missed when they are gone, when they leave the premise.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we see guys that are no longer functioning as good, strong dads, they'll make statements like, well, I pay child support, I buy the kids clothes, what else do they want?
Yep.
And they're missing the point.
Yeah. And we talked about statistics in our first episode. So if you haven't listened to those, go back and listen to those statistics, because what a dad provides for the family, the statistics are clearly laid out. What happens when the dad does not provide for his family?
Right. Yeah. Well beyond the physical needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well beyond that, for sure.
So we have a scripture, 1 Timothy 5:8. Listen to this scripture, and this is, scripture always has a way of kind of grabbing your tail and jerking a knot in it, doesn't it? And so this is, but those who won't care for their relatives, especially those in their own household, have denied the true faith. Such people are worse than unbelievers. I mean, that's a direct call out that we have a responsibility to the provision for the people in our home. And I think sometimes we lose track of that because, maybe we're getting beat up. Yeah. Maybe we're like, we can't do anything right, or life's not going the way we want it to. And so we feel like failures, and maybe we just check out.
Yeah.
But we want to encourage you to come back around and say, okay, maybe I'm not able to provide as well as some other guy, especially in terms of physical needs. We compare ourselves a lot. But what do I need to provide, and what can I provide?
Yeah.
So.
And just that idea that, in the scripture it says such people are worse than unbelievers. Man, that's powerful to know that is the viewpoint of people, of men that don't step up and provide, that they're worse than unbelievers, that's the way that God sees them and views them. I mean, just really solidifies and shows the importance of actually stepping up and providing.
Yeah, so a couple things we probably just need to get out on the table right off the bat. We are living in maybe a time that's a little bit different than in history. I think sometimes the stereotype was that we had moms stay at home and took care of the kids, and dads went out to work. Mm-hmm. And certainly in my lifetime, my mom did do that until I was in high school. Yeah. And at that point, financially, things got very difficult around our house, and my mom had to go to work. Yeah. And that was a real change for our family. But since those days, we see moms going to work on a regular basis, and in fact, we see moms frequently making more money than dads.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a name for that, isn't there?
Well, I always say, man, knock yourself out. I have never told Linda to not make more money. If she can make more money, I'm all for it. So, but there's the provision that we're talking about is not about whether, you have to make, as a man, you have to make all the money.
Yeah.
No, the provision is, let's see what needs to be provided for.
Yeah.
And let's just get the job done.
Yeah.
All right. Whether it's food or housing or education or love, emotional support, whatever it is, what provision has to take place, and what's the best way your house can get it done.
Yeah.
And if that means the mom is out because she's able to make some killer money somewhere,
right?
If she can do that, then your house might not look like the guy next door, but you get it done.
Yeah. Just stepping up and providing, whatever the means it is. I mean, if that means, you going back to the financial aspect of, if that means that your job, if it's more beneficial, and every family is going to look different. If your family only functioned with you as a man working that one job doesn't make ends meet, seeking out something out, you have to provide for your family at all costs. You are you're the people who don't step up and provide. I mean, the scripture says they're worse than the unbelievers.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put the brakes on you, though.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to put the brakes on you because the definition, what we need versus what we want, has really changed.
This is very true.
And so Linda and I learned this, I'm going to say it was the hard way at first because it was kind of an emotional decision. And we got to a point where I was a teacher, she was a teacher. We had two little boys. Those little boys were getting up at 5:15 in the morning so that we could get bottles ready, get diaper bags ready, load everybody up in a vehicle, drive all over God's earth, get them to a babysitter so we could get to school by 7 o'clock,
right.
And I didn't like it. because Linda didn't like it. She was very stressed. She had much more of an emotional beat down, like did not feel like she was being the mom she wanted to be, and that just created a lot of stress. And so we started just talking about, okay, we've got to do something here. You know, the suggestion was by both of us, one of us need to quit our job.
Yeah.
Okay. We came to a harsh reality. We did the math.
Yeah.
We did the math on our bills, house payments, car payments, food, diapers, all those things. We did the math and said, not only can we not quit our jobs, bro, you better go get another job.
Well, yeah.
You better get a second job. We're like, holy cow, how can we even have the conversation about quitting a job to bring some stability into the home? We need even more because of the lifestyle we had chosen.
Yeah.
And so this is the reality check. And the reality check was, do we really need all this stuff?
Yeah.
And we had a come to Jesus time in our marriage and in our life. Both of us. It wasn't one or the other. It was both of us. And it was this, wait, what do we really need?
Yeah.
And we prayed about that. We prayed and we said, you know what, if we really have faith, we need to make some decisions that are best for our family.
Yeah.
And we did. Within that weekend, we made the decision that Linda, at the time, I made more money than she did in my teaching position. She was going to finish out that school year. I believe it was late April or so. She was going to finish out that school year, and she wasn't going back.
Yeah.
And she didn't. You know what? We didn't miss a beat. Yeah. God provided.
Sure.
God provided. She immediately was home. She started watching a couple of other neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
So we were able to make a little bit of money out of that.
Yeah.
And the peace that came into our house was so overdue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, you know, we were so fooled by what we thought we had to have to make it, you know. Well, Lynn and I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, do we really need, do we both have to work, or could maybe we work 1.5 jobs instead of both of us being full-time?
Yeah.
So anyway, I know I went on a long rant with that, but I think
that's important.
It's worth a check to say, wait, you know, how about the cars? How about the house? Is this really what we need?
Yeah.
And so evaluate that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and what you need versus want in your own household is not going to be what society tells you. Society's going to tell you need so many things. You need that iPhone. You need the cable TV. The sat. You need all those. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. Especially if you can't do the necessities. What the true things that your kids actually really need.
Yeah.
So you know the food, making sure that the electric's paid, make sure all that stuff is done before you get the extra wants.
Yeah.
That's a good. I mean, it really it's a good reality check to make sure we definitely talk about.
Yeah, and so we encourage that. I can't tell you the number of times, me working as a counselor at an elementary school, the number of times that I had moms or even teachers, mostly female teachers in our elementary building, that would come to me on any given day and just break down in my office because they were so stressed out.
Yep.
And the reality of it is that oftentimes women carry the emotional burden of this more than the men because they're frazzled. They're working 40 plus hours a week, and they're working the same number of hours and just making sure the home is running smoothly.
Yep.
On my best day, I'm not going to be as emotionally connected as my wife, Linda, right? I mean, I just check out like, oh, it's no big deal, you know? And so she's the one that carried that stress.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and just the idea that we're paying way more attention to our lifestyle than we ever now more than ever. What you have parked in your driveway means so much more. You got to keep up with the Joneses, right? And that's probably an older saying. That's probably something.
The back in my era, we used to use that.
Way back in your day.
Back in my day, it was like, hey, you could have a 2-car garage, and that was a big deal. Now it's like we want a 3-car garage and
oversized garage.
Garage.
Oversized for sure.
Again, it's a matter of saying between you and your spouse, of you as the father, you as the husband, stepping up and saying, what do we really need?
Yeah.
What are we living for?
Yep.
And I can guarantee you that especially your younger kids, they're never going to be upset for having a stable home.
No.
They're never going to be upset for it. And I've never ever had a lady in my office that was upset that said, "Man, I wish I would have worked more hours."
Yep, that's funny you say that, because one of the first days in the firehouse, one of my first days at City of Dayton in the firehouse, my boss came and told me, "Your kids will never ever say, 'Daddy, why didn't you work more?'"
Yeah.
But I also know that it is my job to provide.
Yes. Yep.
But I also know that that's where that fine balance of needs and wants. I have to make sure that all the needs are covered, and past that, maybe our girls don't need those extra, want those extra toys that they want. So I cut that off, because that way I don't have to work a couple extra overtimes. I'm home with them.
Yeah.
So just exactly what you were saying. That's funny you said that, because first day in the firehouse, that's what someone told me.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And again, if we feel like, man, I got to pick up more hours and more times than that, it's like, well, okay, so what are we doing with our needs versus our wants? And so maybe are we living outside of our means? And maybe not. Maybe we're just in a situation that we have to do that. And so let's work to make that as temporary as we can.
Yeah, that's good.
So that we can get on stable ground and move forward.
Yep.
Okay, so anyway, lots about provision. Let's talk about really off the money issue. Yep. Let's talk about one of the biggest things that we see dads missing the mark on in terms of provision.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Go ahead. Roll with it.
Yeah. To the first, and it really is. It's kind of basically the whole premise of this podcast, of the idea of fatherless homes. The fact that dads need to come back in the home and provide that stable living environment, just that consistency for their home, making sure. So some of the things that I think are really important is making sure that our homes are a safe home for our kids. If you have kids, young or old, making sure that your kids see that consistency, see that it is okay to be themselves in their home. That because society tells them they have to act and do certain things, and they have to do according to what their peers say. Just making sure that stability in the home, that they have the ability to be themselves, to cut up, to have a good time, to act a little crazy in their home, but be who they are. Don't try and fake things. Just when they're out in school, when they're out with their friends, maybe they put on a different face because they want to act they want to be cool around their friends. Just that idea that in the home they should be able to be themselves and not be afraid that they're going to get judged because of that.
Yeah, and that's good. So, I mean, we talk about then really the value of a stable living environment.
Yeah.
And stable to me means predictable, right? Reliable.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I saw in the school setting, we always talk about bullies and all these things. One of the things that I recognized very early when I worked with kids is that if I put a young kid, and I'm going to say kindergarten, first grade, second grade, even third grade, I put them in an unstable environment. From my perspective, often what I looked at as an unstable environment was mom or dad are not home much, or maybe it's unpredictable. We are going to latchkey or daycare on this day or that day, and it changes from day to day. And so the kids are like, I don't know where I'm going today after school.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to see my dad. I don't know if I'm going to see my mom. Those are the things that create the instability. So what I saw is typically in the early grades, you would see scared kids.
Yeah.
Right? And so at the end of the day, you say, well, are you going to your house, or are you going to the latchkey, or where are you going? And what do? They cry.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going. Right? And so that's the scared kid. What happens, though, is because life really doesn't give them an option, they start to get hardened.
Yep.
They start to talk to themselves in a way of saying, well, whatever. I mean, I'll just make this, And so when they turn into fourth and fifth and sixth grade, the next thing you know, they've kind of become a hardened kid. I kind of imagine in my mind, these are kids that kind of always have a grit in their teeth and their fist up, right? And it's really a little bit of a facade to help them muscle up in those insecure, unstable times.
Right.
Okay? But when you peel back the onion a little bit, you still see a scared kid in there.
Yeah.
And imagine, if you're a kid in your house, let's just say you're a second or third grader and you're home for an hour before mom or dad get home. And that kind of becomes a routine, which might sound insane to some of you out there listening, but I saw it frequently in the school setting. And if I'm a second or third grader and I have an hour by myself at home, I hear every creak in the house. Yeah. I hear every little noise. And at first, the option of crying sounds like a good one. Go hide back in the room and cry. But they start to go,
who am I going to cry to?
Yeah, this isn't going to work. And so these kids get tough.
Yeah.
They get tough. And we're by no means saying there's not value in making your kid a little tougher.
Sure.
But to do it in an insecure way, it is not grounded on a good foundation.
Because no one's provided that consistency, and no one's provided the stability and the security that they really every day they need that.
Yeah.
And just those are great observations that you've obviously come in contact with your career. Just kind of diving into more stability, living environment that as men we are called to provide. I would say making sure that you have fun in your house. We're so serious right now in this world. Like, let's have some fun, whether that be playing board games, going outside, getting away from the screens, and having fun with your kids.
Yeah.
Playing kickball, throwing a ball at. If I only had a son to throw a ball with.
Hey, you have two girls.
I do.
You're going to be going to plays dance and all kinds of good stuff.
Yes, and just more into making sure that inside your home you have structure. And that's going to be look a little different. I know in our home, bedtimes are big. Making sure that we provide, making sure that our girls get a good night rest. So that way the next day, especially when my oldest, when she starts school again, that bedtime's going to be very, very important.
Yeah.
Because as her dad, I know that getting a good night rest, she's going to be ready to learn the next day. We always talk about in my house, who's the boss? Like, mom and daddy are in charge, and just knowing that having knowing who's in charge is very important for your kids, because it really does set them up for success. Knowing who's in charge every single day. Doing chores. That's something we're starting to really kind of incorporate in our house. It's more so because my girls want money.
Right.
But I guess, whatever.
Pay to play.
Yeah, we got to pay to play, sure.
Well, I want to go back for a second because I like what you said about the idea of the structure and knowing who's in charge, because when they start to see that you are in charge, and then that will naturally be put to the test just by life's daily activities, and they see you make decisions, and they see how you carry it out. And then this thing called trust develops.
Sure.
They start to trust. Oh, daddy's got this. I guarantee you that when you went caving this past weekend and they walked into that dark, ugly cave, that they were thinking that you were going to be their protector.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And so there's a trust there.
Yep.
And if you started to try to establish that trust, but then you were not available.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden they get scared in the cave and you're a mile ahead and daddy's nowhere to be found. That happens enough, and they're finally saying, I can't trust dad.
Yeah.
And so the fear gets magnified.
Yeah.
So that's just such a great point that you bring up there, that kids have got to see that you're in charge, and then they'll learn to trust it.
Yeah.
But you have to show them that you're in charge and that you can be counted on.
Yep.
So that's a great point.
Yep. And as we kind of just keep moving down, Merle, I'm sure you can really hit on these, because my nutrition is not very good, so I probably should talk about something.
Practice what you preach, brother.
Yes.
So, one of the things that I put on here is just the idea of proper nutrition. And maybe along with that is proper nutrition, feeding the body, taking care of the body. We see this with kids who are kind of there to fend for themselves. And listen, my kids are at the age right now where they can wash themselves for a while. And even at that, they will get into more junk food. You almost have to lock it up because you come home and you like see boxes of cereal opened and whatever they can get into. And so we got to provide healthy means of living, and just them understanding a little bit about, hey, what you put into your body is what's going to come out. Yeah. And we notice it especially with our daughter. She loves sugar, but I guarantee you, I can tell you if she's had a day full of sugar, because she is so moody. Yeah. She is so tired. Yep. And it's like, hey, cause and effect. Yep. You've got to start to understand these things. And so nobody's going to feel sorry for you when you don't feel like you're having your day because of how you treated your body. Yep. And
we at my house, we implemented no sweets before noon. So it's something we started doing, especially again when my oldest starts school. Just that importance of breakfast. I guess they say breakfast kind of starts the whole day off and kind of gets you puts you in a mood ready to learn, and you kind of get your brain in the right place to learn. Proper nutrition. Although I don't partake all the time in proper nutrition.
You are one of these guys. You're one of those people that everybody else hates because you can probably eat whatever you want, and you're lean and fit, and you're like, I look at bad food and I gain weight, and you just like.
But I'm like the unhealthy skinny guy. I might look.
Well, I told you earlier, it's going to come back to bite you in the butt, and you know what? I'm not going to have a lot of sympathy for you.
I wouldn't. The Dr. Pepper and coffee might catch up to me eventually.
Well, hey, let's go to the next side of this, and that is structured discipline. Dads, hear me out, okay? Listen here. On a day in and day out basis, your wife or the mother of your children might provide more discipline than you do on some of the daily things, like, hey, kids, did you brush your teeth? Kids, did you make your bed? Kids, did you? But the strength behind the discipline oftentimes rests on your shoulders. Yep. My wife is just more in tune with that daily little stuff. I mean, it just goes right over me. I don't nitpick like whether the kids are brushing their teeth. But if my wife says, did you brush your teeth? And they didn't, then I don't look at my wife and say, it's no big deal. Right. I say, hey, what'd your mother say? Yeah. That's what we do. And so the kids have to start to see mom and dad united, and then strong and steady in their discipline. Yep. Discipline does not mean whipping your kids. Right. And we talked about this in a previous show. This is not about beating your kids. And I'm sick of this whole idea that we throw that baby out with the bathwater again. Yep. This is about being setting up expectations. Yep. You can call them rules, call them whatever you want. Set up expectations for your own kids' benefit, so that they can succeed down the road. Just things like manners, right? Like just character, certain boundaries, being a work ethic, your faith, discipline of, hey, in our house, I don't care if you don't want to go to church. We go to church. Now, again, that doesn't mean we beat them to go to church, but it says in our house this is an expectation. Yeah. All right. Yep.
And that discipline is just having a structured discipline. You have to be consistent. It's one of those things that kids. I've learned very quickly that unless I'm very consistent with again, kind of what you were saying, not the everyday mundane, maybe not mundane, the everyday kind of discipline, the bigger stuff. So when my girls talk back to my wife, making sure that I stop that right now. Yeah. And so I can't let them slide once or twice with that. I have to every single time. Ava, you can't talk to your mom that way. Mia, stop doing that. You can't say those things to your mom. And just being consistent in that, because if you let them slide a little bit, like they're going to take advantage of it, and then they're going to start to talk to me like that way, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I think there's value in you and your wife coming together and agreeing upon what the expectations are in the house, and then you becoming a team. So that we can't blame a kid for wanting to manipulate against mom and dad. I mean, that they're a kid, right? And they have their own self-interest at heart. So what we have to understand is what's our message to them, and is it consistent? And if they ask mom, are they going to get the same answer from dad?
Right.
And that's as long as that's consistent, your kids will start to go, this is just the way it is.
Yep.
Another thing that I've seen happen, and I get this more from, again, I'm probably guilty of this myself. A lot of our playful dads.
Yeah.
And you talk about having fun with your kids.
Yeah.
I love to have fun. I love to wrestle and goof around, and but there's certain things I have to be aware of, and more on the lines of respect and manners. If I do a behavior around the house that maybe is lacking manners, let's just be fun. Like I belch super out loud and stuff, and I laugh at it. Okay, so like I can laugh at that, right? But if I do that on a regular basis, and I don't teach my kid about the circumstance of that, and then they go to school. And they go do that in the middle of class with the idea that they're going to get laughed at, or they're going to get people to laugh at them. All right. And the next thing you know, the kid's down in the office because he's been disrupting the class by being gross. That's shame on you as a parent.
Yep. That's
because you just got your kid in a point of trouble, and you didn't give them the tool to deal with it.
Yeah.
All right. And so be careful with it. And the other side of that is, please don't go to the school and defend your kid with that. You need to go look in the mirror.
Right.
And you need to say, okay, wait, I probably need to do better than that.
Right.
Now, I can't tell you how many times I had kids in my office that were cussing, and I'd say, okay, wait, where have you heard that word before?
Right.
And I've shared with that before.
Yeah.
They always throw dad under the bus. Oh, I heard dad say it. And so, dads, just be aware. You got to have a little bit of a predictable expectation and know that your kids are hearing and watching everything.
Right. And with all this, I think Merle and I both understand our audience, that there's some people out here are going to be in a divorce, that they're going to be split up. Just come together, and I'm not divorced, so I'm not going to pretend that I know what you're going through. But if you could come together for 10 to 15 minutes and sit down and do what's in the best interest of your kids and say that we need a stable living environment, not just when they're with mom, but when they are with me, that we need to have proper nutrition, not just when they're with dad, but when they're with you as well. Coming together and just going through all these bullet points that we're going through and making sure that as the parents of your kids, that you can set aside your differences and just come together as parents and do what's best for your kids, and just have that consistency through both homes.
That is so huge. I mean, I dealt with that on a daily basis, and I'd say one of the most successful things that I worked hard on within our school was challenging divorced parents to come around the same conference table at the same time and let me behave as a mediator if I need to do that, and to say, you know what, you two might hate each other. You can't even stand to be in the same room. But for right now, we're going to work for the kids. And as we talked about all of these different things about provision, getting provision for all these things is close to the same in both homes. It's never going to be perfect, right? But getting as close to the same, whether it's stable living environment, whether it's discipline, whether it's nutrition, get it established and try to maintain it. Your kids will be so thankful someday, and you'll be so thankful because you won't be fighting against you won't be what we call triangulated. The kid versus mom versus dad, and the next thing you know, that leads to strangulation. You're just over it.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about providing for your kid. If you do that for them, I mean, in a huge generation. I mean, my goodness, we want to talk about setting your kids up for the next generation. When they start to have kids, what that's going to look like for them. I mean, you're talking about providing for them in a big, big way.
Yeah, this is something that we talked about earlier. You got to provide the regular means for physical exercise these days. You have to be aware of it. I can promise you, my parents did not even give a thought. I'm 56 years old. They did not even give a thought to providing daily exercise for us.
Limiting your screen time.
The only thing my mom said was, get your butt outside, right? And because we didn't have, we had a TV with 3 channels, and it really was not allowed on through the day.
Yeah.
And so we had a neighborhood, we had kids, and we were outside. And I remember hot days. I remember like, oh man, it's hot. But there really wasn't an option. Yeah. And so we were out playing a lot. And now, because of all the other options, our kids have become very sedentary. I mean, childhood obesity. We had an interview. Lynn and I interviewed Dr. Greg Meyer from Cincinnati Children's Sports Medicine Department. And Greg is just one of the forerunners in research about the current state of our youth. Okay. And his statement was the number one problem that faces our youth today is sedentary lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Our kids are already paying a huge medical price for this with diabetes and obesity, and they're still just kids. And so we have to now be more aware of kicking their butt out of the house to play, to get them into something that moves their body, to take care of their body. So dads, we ask you, step it up, man. Step it up. Do not let the kids use the screens as babysitters.
Yeah. And have fun with it. We do obstacle courses with my girls, and they love it. I mean,
that's
just
cool.
Have fun with it.
Ninja Warriors.
Oh yeah, I think that stuff's all. My parents, they go and watch. They go in person and watch them. It's cool. That's cool stuff.
I love that.
But have fun with it. I mean, it could be a great way for you to maybe bond with your kids in a way you've never done before. You know, sitting on a couch. I'm guilty as everyone, sitting on there, especially my first day off of work. I don't really want to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
But just it's really cool to be able to interact with your kids and run around and goof around. We tackle the dog, like stuff like that's fun to get out in the yard and play. Like, man, my dad did that with me. I mean, so go out and have fun with that.
Yeah. Well, my dad was a playful dad, and he also did not tolerate sitting around. Yeah. He just didn't. He said, get your butt up right now and do something, even if it's wrong, is a phrase he used all the time. And more often than not, we did something that was wrong. But, the busyness, just sometimes busyness for the sake of business is important for kids because it helps them learn resourcefulness. Yeah. That's where you used to hear the stories. Well, you just go out in the woods and, hey, we'll build a fort. Yeah. And you don't need to buy your kids a lot of stuff. They don't need a big play set in the backyard. They don't need every toy. It's amazing what kids will grab and just turn into some sort of play toy.
Right. That's good. That's good. So keep moving down. Just that the regular education, just providing education for your kids, and not just necessarily you teaching them, but also know when they're in school what they're learning, making sure that is in line with what you and your spouse or you in your home want to make sure your kids are achieving. Make sure that the family values that you hold are in line with what they're learning at school. Just making sure that you don't just send them to school and that's the babysitter for the next 8 hours. That actually you're engaged with what they're learning, making sure when they come home. As soon as they get home, I know with our oldest, the first 5-10 minutes when she gets home, we eat dinner. Well, maybe it's more than 5-10 minutes, but so we get home, we eat dinner, and then after that we give her a couple minutes to go play and do her thing, and then we come back. But making sure that my wife and I are engaged in what she's learning, making sure we understand what she's going through, so that way we can help her and kind of guide her along in that.
Yeah, I think that's great stuff. I think it's really important that we are engaged in our kids' education. Yeah. And engaged means knowing what your kid is learning. It doesn't mean dictating to the school what your kid should learn. Yeah. And there's a fine line there. Working in the schools, your best parent was your parent that would say, hey, what do you need me to do? And trust that the teacher is going to be doing their job. And again, there's cases that we do have to question it. We have to have meetings, and a good school does that, right? Yep. I mean, schools are made up of people, and sometimes we make mistakes. And so you go in there, but you go in there with the idea that you're going to support the educational process and be in there driving that for your kid. Yep. And education, let's be real clear about this. We've talked about this in earlier shows. Education goes way beyond schooling. Yeah. It is so many things. It's exposure to different activities, the arts, the crafts, the building things, right? Those are educational. And so we have kids who aren't necessarily going to like school,
Yeah.
Right? And so we really don't need to allow the school to define whether our kid is good or bad because they're good in school or not.
Yeah.
I mean, if maybe your kid is a kid that can't stand to sit in a chair all day and be talked to.
Yeah.
You know, so you as a parent, you need to say, okay, what are the other ways that my child could be educated?
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe that means they're out building something.
Yeah, trade schools.
Yeah, yeah. So be aware of your child's need for education.
For sure.
This next topic I want to hit on.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. This
Yeah.
is good. So just the idea of emotional support. And I laugh because I'm terrible at this one. I'm not very...
That's because you have two girls and they are throwing you for a loop, and I love it.
Oh, yes. So just that idea that as a dad, as a strong dad, that we need to support, the emotional aspect of our kids, of our spouse, that we need to, we've mentioned it many times that women kind of carry that emotional kind of right now that the emotions kind of come to fruition. I mean, they're right there. That we need to make sure that we are providing a place where we support that. I was talking to you before, Merle. I'm teaching my oldest to ride her bike right now without training wheels, and I know early on in teaching her that it got to the point where she would start crying, and I would just kind of throw my hands up and like, "Why are you crying? Like, stop crying!" And obviously, as you
sounds so sensitive.
It's so sensitive. As you could probably imagine, it didn't go over too well with her or my wife.
Yeah.
And I've learned, I've kind of pumped the brakes a little bit and realized that's not the best way to approach it.
I remember, so Jenny came over and she smacked you and
Yes.
you start crying. And she said, "What are you crying about, Kyle?" Right?
Yeah, so just that idea that now I'm kind of feeling different ways to support Ava in that while she's learning her bike. So now when she starts crying, I just tell her to take a couple minutes, compose herself. Because no one's going to learn anything when they're emotionally just in a terrible state. So just giving her that time to kind of compose herself, get her act together, and then we'll kind of go back to teaching her.
This is so critical because every kid, every person for that matter, is going to have a bad day. And when kids have bad days, emotions come to them. Anger, sadness, tears, whatever it is, it comes to them. And because it's out of their happy normal that they may have, it throws them for a loop.
Yeah.
And they get stuck. And if a kid does not have stability and provision for emotional support, if they don't have that, kids will do survival, right? They had a terrible day at school for whatever reason. They're all upset. They come home, get off the bus, and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Right? There's nobody there. Or maybe it's a second grader and they're being watched by their 8th grade brother who really is not tapped into their emotional need, right? And so mom and dad say, well, they're being provided for.
Yeah.
The problem is that kid has got it is a bomb of emotion in their head that they have no idea how to handle. And so bad things start to develop.
Yeah.
This is where we get anxieties.
Yeah.
This is where we get depression. This is where we get kids who have fears and phobias because they just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So I encourage parents that you need to provide a very safe and somewhat of a regulation of teaching your kids about their emotions, about understanding what emotions are.
Yeah.
I kind of sometimes refer to them as a storm. They're a mental storm that comes in. And then teaching proper perspective on the emotion.
Yeah.
Okay, so your daughter gets upset when she's riding her bike, and you don't say, "Stop crying right now and suck it up." I did.
No,
come on.
That doesn't work too well.
Well, that's when you got slapped by Jen.
I did, yes.
So instead, we say, "Okay, hey, wait. Okay, so you're crying, right?" So we acknowledge that her emotion is up.
Yeah.
And then we start to try to just ease her down off of that, right? We give her some time.
Yep.
I think you said earlier when we were talking, like, okay, hey, just take a break.
Yep.
Take a break.
Yeah.
And give her a means, why don't you take a break? Why don't you go take a walk? And let her learn that this is actually a mechanism to let the emotional storm calm down.
Yeah.
And once the emotional storm starts to calm down, You don't hit them while they're emotional because the brain can't think logically and emotionally very successfully at the same time. So we let the emotion calm down, and then we come back to her when she's calmed down a little bit, and we say, okay, now let's talk a little bit about what happened. And we talk about the bike incident. Yeah. And then are you hurt?
Yep.
Right? Did something break? Yeah. Is anything bad going on? And we start to try to teach perspective.
Yeah.
I do not think, I've always taught that it's not effective to allow your kids to cry forever.
Right.
Because the world won't allow it when they're older.
Yep.
At some point you say, okay, listen. I used to say to our older one, he'd sometimes get very upset. I'd say, I'll tell you what. It seems like you're really upset right now. Why don't you go upstairs, go to your room. You're not being sent to your room for a punishment. Well, I'd say go on up to your room. When you are calmed down and ready to talk, you can come down anytime.
Yep.
And, it would take him 2 minutes. He'd go up there, and when there's no one to cry around, he'd calm right down, and he'd come down and go, I'm ready to talk. Come on down, bud. Let's figure this out.
Yep.
And so to try to teach them what an emotion is and what it does to them, how it feels to them, and then bring them back to a stable, logical thinking way is just, it pays off down the road.
Yeah.
So parents, dad, I encourage you to learn about your child's emotions, how they exhibit those, and then start to teach them how to work through those. Yeah. You don't need to fix it.
Yeah.
You don't need to fix it. You don't need to say, well, I'll take care of it.
Right.
You want them actually to start to learn, okay, what can you do?
Yeah.
What can you do so that this doesn't grab you again like it did?
And that's not a cookie cutter. I know my two girls couldn't be any different. So I know when my youngest gets upset, I have to handle and talk to her different than I do my oldest.
Yeah.
So that emotional support is going to look different for every kid.
Yeah. That's good stuff. And so, anyway, we just want to encourage dads to be part of that process.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to wrap up here. The last thing really we have on our list, and it's not to minimize it because it's really what people think of the most, but honestly, it's so basic and common sense that, I want to slap any man who doesn't understand the need for it. Hey, men, you're there to provide for physical needs, clothing, shelter. That's just the deal. And that doesn't mean giving them everything by any means. And we start to teach our kids the difference between wants and needs. And this is a place where we can say, okay, listen, I'm going to provide.
Yep.
But this is what I will provide.
Yep.
And I think probably more often than not, I see a level of over provision in these areas that actually lead to bigger problems.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy you the $130 tennis shoes when really the $30 shoes will do the exact same thing because you're 5 years old. Okay?
Yep.
And so teaching or providing the physical needs of clothing and shelter and food and those kind of things, we're called to do. Yep. And let's just get it done.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, step up. I mean, that's the physical needs. It's the obvious one, but it's definitely something that sometimes dads need to be smacked in the face a couple of times and be like, look, this is your job. You decided to have kids. Step up, and we've talked about before with not paying child support. Step up. It's time to step up or shut up.
Well, and I would say that with the child support thing, and listen, we do not want to get into arguments about child support because sometimes here's where it goes bad. Let's not use the kids as a tool against our ex.
Yeah,
that's when it gets bad. And so let's come to a rational agreement on what needs to be provided for.
Yep.
And again, that may not be what the world calls for.
Yeah.
But let's we always encourage that the judge doesn't need to make that decision.
Right.
Two well-meaning, stable adults can make that decision on what needs to be provided for. But at that point, let's just provide.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Hey. Whoo, man, we have been rolling through it. So our challenge for you strong dads out there tonight is I encourage you to take an evaluation of the different areas that we covered. See how you're doing. I mean, we talked about, are you providing a stable living environment? How about nutrition for your kids? How about discipline? Is it structured? Do they have expectations and boundaries set up? How about a regular energy release and physical movement and stuff? Is that being provided for? How about their education? how the one that we just really nailed hard was that emotional stability. Are you providing for an emotional support for your kids? And then finally, not to minimize it, but it was the physical needs. That's to you and I, Kyle. That's kind of a big duh.
Yeah.
Duh. Yeah.
For sure.
Let's step up and let's get it done.
Yep.
So check yourself out, evaluate yourself, and see how you're doing with these things. And I guarantee you, as you and I talked about this, we both said, I need help with that one.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is not about being perfect. This is about you being a dad and saying, okay, I probably could do better in this area.
Yep.
And so we challenge you strong dads out there to look in the mirror and see what you, not your wife, not what the church or the school or the government can do, but what you can do to make for greater provision in your home.
Yep. That's awesome. That's good stuff.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap it up, and we will get back to you again next week. So if you like what you hear, then tune in to us at Strong Dads, and we will be coming back with even more great information, and we actually have some special guests coming up as well.
Yeah,
So
I'm really excited about that.
Can't wait to start releasing those guys. So that'll
sure.
be good stuff.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, let's sign off. You guys have a great evening.
Yep. Go out there and be some strong dads.
All right. See ya.